business results. So expansion hasn't been at the forefront.
Let's talk about culture now, because that was the one big needed change out here. It struck me, and I have watched that entry video out here I don't know how many times in my career, and it struck me that right at the beginning, the first time I've ever seen a plant manager or refinery manager comes on there and says, "Our mission is this: do no harm to people, do no harm to the environment." I mean, just point blank stuff. That beforehand, that quite frankly, it was kind of glossed over or mentioned, but not in that kind of pointed deal. Was that a deliberate move on your part to it kind of set the tone?
Yeah, it's very deliberate, and I also believe you get the best results when you are clear in your expectations. And first and foremost, everything else pales in comparison. Is that everybody that comes through the gate, we want them to go home safely at the end of their shift or at the end of their visit. Just that clear. So we want everybody to understand that coming in, and then the no harm to environment. Same thing. We want to run our facilities safe, compliant, reliable, and do no harm to the environment, the community. We have the privilege to operate in the great city of Texas City. Everybody comes in the gate needs to share that goal and objective with us.
Talk about just cultural wise. Again, using the same philosophy we used with coming out here and seeing the new stuff. For someone that may not have been out here for a while, what do you think is the most noticeable thing they'll notice within just how things are approached cultural wise around here?
So probably the most noticeable thing in the culture, I think it. Actually, I get the pictures up in the office here. People, plant, and processes. Right, so it's investment in people, and you're not going to see all the hours of training that we put in, but I can see very visible examples up to including the apprenticeship program that we have a partnership with USW, where we're affording the opportunity and investing heavily in people for 3 years to be skilled craftsmen. So we have whole facilities, and we have apprentices working side by side with seasoned kind of 25, 30-year craftsmen, learning that trade, and then also working with college and mainland. As far as the processes piece, you can see a whole new work permit system. You see a whole new logistics system, just moving around the plant in buses. Like I said, a great amount of effort to reduce the traffic in the refinery. And obviously you see a lot less temporary facilities and tents and trailers and things inside the facility. So just the ways of working are very different.
And let me get down to those barriers. Let's go back to the Baker panel, CSB reports. Everyone agreed. You mentioned it just now. Getting the buildings off sites that have out there, outside of some spot that someone can go into to get some necessarily work done. There is really no office space inside. Temporary building office space located out here at all, right?
No. So you'll also see, and that's one of the physical changes that Michael will show you a BRM, which is a blast-resistant module. So if you see any modules that are out there that we need to temporarily house people, they're the new best technology. Even our contractor tents that are down at the other tents are blast-resistant tents, which were designed by a company that actually worked for the military. So there's no internal structure. It's actually like a big kid air tent. And so there's no internal structure that can damage somebody if they do come down.
And I also noticed too that the check-in, check-out procedures, they're a little more specified now, whereas it was kind of blanket for everything with the exception of a few units. Now it's like every unit has its own guidelines and rules that are more emphasized now. Is that really new so much, or is that just been there and just now emphasized so much?
Actually, it's that has been improved. So that's those are process safety overviews, which is making sure that everybody that can potentially enter an operating area understands the hazards that are associated with that operating area, and that we're accounting for who has proper access to be in and who doesn't, and assuring that only the right people go to the right places. And so that's definitely an area of emphasis.
One of the things too is that single entrance now. Is that if you want to get in here, you go through one gate for the most part. Unless you really need to get to one of the sides, equipment-wise, I would think. But that's what was thought to be a convenient thing in the past of let's have 25 different entrances around here or whatever it is, getting it down to the one. That seems to be not just a physical thing, but more of a cultural thing too, kind of unifying central spot to begin with.
Yeah, the highlight for me of the entrance is the new ASB because, culturally, folks come in, they park in a brand new parking lot, well lit, come into a new building that's designed for all their needs. It's got, the credit unions in there, it's got our training facilities, it's got the union office, it's got the locker rooms, the shower rooms, so on and so forth. And there's a big piece for me mentally, it's, dressing for success. You come in, you change, you put your blues on. When you leave that building, now you're ready to go to work, right? And likewise, going home, you go back through that building, you take your blues off, hang them in the locker, and you put your shorts and sandals on, and you're ready to go be dad or mom or brother or whoever you're going to be on the outside. And so I think for me, that building is the most significant as far as the cultural shifts that take place. The closing of the gates is largely driven not only to help facilitate that, making sure that people have the right kind of mental check-in and check-out, but it's really driven largely by the new Homeland Security regulations, where we have to be in control of all times of our gates and have proper mechanisms